Hi everyone, I'm Kalina.
And I'm Tracy, and welcome to this edition of Eye of the East Coast. Today's guest is Selena Fox. Selena is an author, spiritual teacher, and psychic counselor. She is senior minister and high priestess of Circle Sanctuary, a nonprofit center which has been serving Wiccans, Druids, Pantheists, Pagans, and other nature religion practitioners around the world since 1974. Selena has an MS in counseling from the University of Wisconsin and does holistic psychotherapy in addition to psychic readings. Her writings and photographs on dreams, folkways, celebrating the seasons, and nature spirituality have been widely published in print and online. She lives in a forest in north central USA and travels internationally presenting workshops and facilitating ceremonies. She also teaches online through her weekly radio show, Circle Craft Study. More about her work is at www.selenafox.com and at www.circlesanctuary.org. Welcome, Selena.
Great to be here.
Awesome. Can you tell our listeners how you got started in your journey?
When I was a very young child, I found that when I was in natural settings, that the world became more alive for me. And I started having what I now know are prophetic dreams, being able to go across time and space in the dream world. I had some out-of-body experiences when I was quite young. And to me, this was all perfectly natural. It wasn't until I started in my school journey that I realized that other children my age did not tune into energy fields around people, did not have precognitive dreams, and were more narrow in their way of relating to the world.
When you're speaking about your dream work, can you give us an example of what that would be?
Yes, I sometimes will have a dream which is very vivid, and I experience myself in another location, and sometimes it is in the present time, sometimes it's back in time. We're talking hundreds and sometimes thousands of years ago. And sometimes in the future. I've had, during my life, thus far, a number of really important dreams in which I experienced myself in another culture. These have been past life memory dreams. Because of the dreams, I have gone and been able in this life to deepen my understanding about those cultures, and it has really helped me in my spiritual work with other people.
For anyone who has the gift of dreams, what would you recommend them start with? Like, how would they start to develop their gift?
Now, dream work is something that everyone can do without a lot of effort. I think the very first thing to do is to recognize that dreams can be sources of information and healing. To be respectful of dreams. Second thing is to pay attention to whatever dreams or dream fragments may be in one's awareness as one wakes up. Third step is to have pen and paper next to one's bed. So after one has awakened, had a sense of the dreams of the night before even getting out of bed, writing those dreams down. Keeping some kind of dream journal helps not only give a record of the dreams we've had, but by doing so, dreams are recalled more frequently.
Do you, when you do your dream work, do you notice any extra energy on the moon, like phases, like if it's a full moon, new moon, anything like that?
certainly the full moon times and the new moon times are really powerful times for doing spiritual work. Dreams happen throughout the moon cycle. But under those two phases of the moon, one may find themselves much more intuitive. And it's a really great idea that one gets in touch consciously with the cycles of moon, and I also suggest cycles of sun and seasons as a way of tuning into natural rhythms.
And where would the listeners go to start that?
One of the good ways of connecting with the full moon is on the night of the full moon, and actually the full moon looks full for a period of 3 days or so. A very simple ceremony. Be outside, watch the moon rise, just be with it. Celebrate your connection with the moon. So it's developing a moon awareness, just as it's important to develop dream respect and awareness and start developing a relationship with your dreams so that you can go to the next step after you've recorded them and honored them to actually start analyzing them. Same way with the cycles of nature. I've done quite a bit of work with the cycles of nature, the lunar cycles and the cycles of sun and seasons, as well as life cycles. And I have some of my writings up at the Circle Sanctuary website, and from time to time I also post images and information at my Facebook page on the internet, which is Selena Fox Updates. In addition, I've done some instruction on working with the moon and working with dreams and some other spiritual development activities on my weekly radio show, which is called Circle Craft Study. Those who want to listen live can tune in on Tuesday nights, and those who would like to listen later can actually go to circlepodcast.org, and there's a complete archive of my Circle Craft Study workshops and ceremonies. The downloads and online listening are for free, and I have them up as a service for people who really seek to have some tools to aid them on their spiritual journeys.
Do you find, my next question would be, do you find that there's an important connection between psychic development and spiritual development?
Yes, I know some paths of spiritual teaching really discourage developing psychic abilities. The path that I'm on encourages development of psychic abilities, seeing that intuition is a natural part of our lives, and being able to get information intuitively as well as intellectually is important to be a whole person.
I agree. I agree with that. Now, you do readings too. Do you want to talk to the listeners about that?
Yes, I began doing readings when I was a teenager. I got my very first tarot deck back in the 1960s and taught myself how to work with it, and since that time have not only done my own self-studies, but also have done work not only with tarot cards, but other forms of divination with other practitioners, so that I can expand my own understanding, not only from my own experience, but from some other people that work in these realms. I do most of my readings by telephone. I started doing telephone consultations in order to help people not only across the United States where I live, but in some other countries. And so over the years, I've had people from a number of different places do reading work with me. Now, some of my readings are intuitive, where I interface with the person and share impressions from our dynamic together. Some are dream interpretation readings and dream work readings in which I help people with their own explorations of their dream life. Some of the readings I do are tarot readings, and occasionally I will do I Ching and some other forms of divination. In doing readings, what I endeavor to do is help people connect with the wisdom that's within themselves, connect with the divine according to their own spiritual or religious tradition, or if they are more secular in their approach to the world, to be able to connect with source and reason to help them in their lives.
Now, if you were to advise listeners if they're starting their own psychic ability or developing their own psychic abilities, what would you recommend them start with?
As with dream work, the first part is to really start giving intuition, honor, and respect.
Mm-hmm.
Not only develop an attitude that values intuition, but develop a way of being in the world that allows one to tune in to intuition. And then, as one starts tuning in, starting to pay close attention to that and to do some journaling work, to set down in writing what one's intuitive flashes and understandings are, to use that as a reference point, to pay attention to those intuitive knowings which turn out to be accurate, to pay attention to the feelings one gets in one's physical body, the thoughts that accompany that, and the whole way of being able to have that sense that the intuitive messages are coming from a truthful and authentic place. Part of my academic and professional work is in the realm of psychology. And I have been fascinated about the whole realm of consciousness since I was a young girl. In fact, part of the reason I went into psychology was because I wanted to understand why I would dream true, why I had some of these experiences, including my first out-of-body experience where my body was in the bed, but I experienced myself traveling around the home that I was in, being able to see things from a different perspective. So I've been doing a lifelong study of consciousness, and I think it's really important that we recognize that if we have thoughts come through our mind, they may be coming from a deep wisdom place, an intuitive place, or they may be coming from some part of ourselves that may need healing. So just because one has a thought doesn't necessarily mean it's intuitive and coming from a deep spiritual place. It can come from some thought processes that may have been programmed in early on, may come from some processes one has in the here and now trying to sort some things out. So it's really important to recognize as we do our own explorations of consciousness within our own selves that just because we have a thought, it may or may not be coming from a deep and honest place. And it's important, I think, to develop some form of spiritual practice, to have the ability to center, to focus, to go beyond ego concerns, and to connect with the divine that's within us and around us.
That's a really good tip. That is a really good tip. My next question would be for our listeners. Now, if you have a loved one in spirit, what would you recommend for them to do to develop a communication with them?
I am a great believer in having a places in one's home for spiritual practice. I call these altars, but they can be called a spiritual place if that language works better for someone. When someone has a loved one in the spirit world, a good place to be able to do some work to develop that relationship is with what I call an ancestor's altar. This person doesn't need to be somebody that you biologically descend from. An ancestor's altar is a way to honor those ancestors in spirit who you have a family and biological connection with, or if you're adopted, you're part of that family system. But an ancestor's altar can also connect us with those in the spirit world that are part of the spiritual path that we're on. And they can ancestors can be part of the country or culture that we are part of. So when I talk about an ancestor's altar, it's more in a universal sense. If there is a particular loved one that has crossed over that one seeks to connect with, then a good thing to do is to have a symbol of that loved one on the altar, whether that be a human, the friend that has died, or it can be a creature. I've had cats be part of my lives, and this life in particular, and on my ancestors' altar, I not only have family members who have crossed over, but I have some images of my cats that have been part of my household as well. The image is there to help one's focus attention. Before doing any kind of work with somebody in the other world, I do think it's very important to have a very firm, established spiritual practice that allows one to center, be in a safe place, connect with the divine, and have the divine, whether you call the divine God, Goddess, Great Spirit, all that is, sacred force, love, it goes by many names, to really connect with that sacred force or forces, have that as a touchstone and a foundation for doing the work. In that way, you can proceed in a safe and balanced way as you journey into the other world to connect with those who have gone into the world of spirit.
My next question would be for the listeners is, when they're, I want to kind of go back for a second about deciphering between, I'm going to use the word ego and true source, those two words.
Right.
What, in your opinion, what is a quick way to quickly translate if it's ego, or to quickly translate that source?
There was an old saying above the temple at Delphi. We're talking about ancient pagan Greece. Know yourself. That is really key to one doing spiritual practice. Know not only yourself, capital S, your still small voice within, your inner self, the divine within, the higher power. It goes by many names. But also know the dimensions of yourself that are your mask that you put to the world, your persona. To know the parts of yourself that are worries and concerns connected with the ego part of ourselves that allows us to function in day-to-day life. But to recognize that we're more than the face that we are to this world, that we are divine love at our core, to have a daily spiritual practice that connects us with that on an ongoing basis. Then it becomes much more easy to separate out the chatter of the ego from the wisdom that's within.
I love that. I'm really glad you said that. I know this is going really fast. I could talk to you all day. I was wanting to know, for the final question is, in your opinion, what do you think we can be doing to make this world a better place?
One thing that individuals can do, no matter what their culture, their nationality, their spiritual practice, is deepen their connection with nature, to spend some time every day recognizing that one is part of a much larger community, beyond the human community, part of the larger ecosystem, not only here in this world, but the larger universe of which we're part. Circle Sanctuary Nature Preserve, which I founded more than 30 years ago, is a place where people go to have some of those experiences. But one does not have to journey to South Central Wisconsin, USA, in order to commune with nature. One can do it in a city, in a suburb, in a rural area. It's a matter of being able to experience oneself beyond one's ego, day-to-day life, and experience oneself as part of this larger circle of nature. If more people did that as a spiritual practice, one would be more balanced in seeing humankind within the larger world of which we're part, and coming from that is the commitment to live in harmony, not only with other humans, but with the larger circle of life of which we're all part. I do think tuning into nature is a really important thing to do, not only to heal planet Earth where we are, but it can be healing for humankind as a whole, which too often gets caught up in human centricities and not paying attention to what is happening to the land where we live, to the air that we breathe, to the water that we drink, to the energy resources that we use and come to rely on. And most importantly, it's important for us to also pay attention to that spirit that's within each of us, that connects us together as humans, but that also connects us with the larger world. If we make time, even a few moments at the start of our day, where we greet the day, we connect with the divine, we honor the natural world of which we're part, that not only gets our day off to a good start, but it really helps us move into our lives in a deeper and more connected way that allows harmony, love, peace, and well-being to be more present in our personal lives and in the world where we live.
I think that's great. I do. And for our listeners, now, if they want to get a hold of you or your work, how can they find you?
On the web, www.circlesanctuary.org. Circle Sanctuary is the nonprofit nature religions organization I founded 40 years ago. www.circlesanctuary.org/learn has some of my teachings. www.selenafox.com is my webpage on the web that has information about the talks that I do around the U.S. and other parts of the world, my podcast, my writings, my music, my photography, and a variety of other endeavors. I'm on Facebook, Selena Fox Updates, on Twitter, Selena_Fox, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be part of your show and the good work that you're doing.
Oh, thank you, Selena. We really appreciate that. No, thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thank you, and may you have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you. You too. Okay, next is the weekly readings from the Guardians. The Guardians are your angels, your guides. The Guardians will present information according to your sun sign. Before we get into that, just in case if you're looking to contact Tracy and I, we are on Twitter. Tracy's account is Reiki with a twist. Eye of the East Coast is on Twitter as well, at Eye of the East Coast. For EGH Radio, it's on Twitter at EGH Radio, and mine is at Kalina. And we're on Facebook at Kalina Psychic Readings. Tracy is Reiki with a twist. Okay, so we're going to get into the readings, and we're going to start with Aries. Okay, Aries, what they're focusing on for this week is This is a week to really trust your intuition. They're making me feel that there's a situation that you're not getting the whole story. Not that someone's lying or anything like that. I just think that they're assuming some of the truth. So what the guardians are asking here, ask for the truth. They're asking you not to feel silly or that you are being a little bit too direct. That's okay. They're just asking to be like a detective next week. Taurus. This is going to be a very positive week for you. They're making me feel there's news of celebration coming your way, and they're asking you to focus a little bit more on the plant kingdom. They're making me feel that you're going to feel the spirits of the trees and the plants a little bit more stronger than before. There's a little bit of energy here asking you to look into a bit more of herbal teas. Geminis. Okay, Geminis, they're focusing on clearing energy. This would be a really good week to maybe look into a deep meditation or Reiki or acupuncture or something like that. But you're taking out energy that should not be there. So this is a week to break energy. Also, too, they're asking you to write out your plans. Cancer. Cancers, the guardians are saying this is a week of illumination. They're also asking you to look into studying the stars. The visual they're showing is like you're looking through binoculars or a telescope. They're making me feel that you're having an energy exchange between the planets and the stars. It might be a good idea if it's available to you to maybe look into a planetarium and just learn a bit more about the stars. Leo. Okay, Leos, the guardians are saying there's a decision to be made this week, and they're asking you to put yourself first. And the other part, too, they're focusing on is a little bit of financial healing, like just to be a little bit more strict with the budget. This is a good time to save, maybe not to spend. Libra, this is a week of patience. The guardians are reassuring you that things are coming together. It just may not be... however, that it's just going to take a little bit of time before it comes together, but things are moving behind the scenes. It just may not be obvious. Scorpio. Okay, Scorpio, they're focusing a little bit on your father or a father figure. There's something that he is going to have words of wisdom, and there's something intuitive to this. They're also making me feel keep an eye on your dreams, because there's a dream here from an ancestor that's going to help you see your path a bit more clear. Sagittarius, this is a week to stand up for what you feel is right. They're asking you to speak from your heart. There's a person who is, they don't mean ill, but there's just something here that they're just not listening, and they're saying stand your ground, speak from the heart. They just need to hear your truth. Capricorn. Capricorn, okay, so the guardians are asking here that the energy may be a little bit loud, and what I mean by that, it's like if you go into the mall or something like that and you just find that there's too much energy there. This might be a good week just to kind of spend at home, just recharge ground. And they're also asking you to focus on sleep a bit, because I think sleep's a little bit up and down. And they're asking you to keep an eye on your daydreams. The daydreams are going to carry visions. Aquarius. Aquarius, they're making me feel this is a good week to curl up with a good book. She's saying curl up with a good book. It's a good time to do any research. Not a time for action this week. It's a time to gather information. They're also focusing on your clairaudio, the ability to hear the guardians. They're making me feel that the guardians are going to be speaking a lot to you through music. And they're asking you to keep a strong eye on when you get a song stuck in your head. This is going to be an important message. And then for Pisces... Pisces, they're making me feel, okay, they're asking you to focus a little bit more on your spiritual self, whatever path that is, because there's something where they're making me feel create a sacred space in your house. It's just you need that this week. This is a time just to get centered and focus on what you need. That's all we have for this week. Thank you so much for listening, and hope everyone has a great weekend, or week. Hi everyone, I'm Kalina.
And I'm Tracy, and welcome to this edition of Eye of the East Coast. Today's guest is Selena Fox. Selena is an author, spiritual teacher, and psychic counselor. She is senior minister and high priestess of Circle Sanctuary, a non-profit center which has been serving Wiccans, Druids, Pantheists, Pagans, and other nature religion practitioners around the world since 1974. Selena has an MS in counseling from the University of Wisconsin and does holistic psychotherapy in addition to psychic readings. Her writings and photographs on dreams, folkways, celebrating the seasons, and